technical difficulty. Thanks for joining me. And how are you?
Good. Okay.
All right. So I know you are Grace. How should I refer to the guest to your left?
Heather. Heather is good.
Heather. All right. All right. Thanks for joining us, Heather. So Grace, as you know, you are one of the winners of the Baldwin Prize 2020. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So this year's theme was about compassion. You had to interview someone else about an important moment in their life when they felt really cared for. So when you first read that prompt, what were some of your first thoughts? Did you think, oh, this will be fun to do, this will be awful to do, this will be easy, this will be hard? What went through your mind?
Well, I do like creative writing a lot, so I was kind of excited to do something a little bit different than like the peel paragraphs that we were doing in English class. So I was excited about that. I didn't really know who I was going to interview yet, though.
Okay, so eventually you landed on your mom, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And how'd you get to your mom?
Well, I was thinking of doing one of my grandparents or something, but they don't really know how to use technology very well. So mostly because she was very close, and I know she's had a lot of interesting life experiences.
Nice. And Heather, when Grace came to you with this assignment, what were some of your first thoughts?
Well, I mean, I thought it was very interesting assignment, really unusual, one I hadn't heard before. And so I like that it gave us something to think about. It wasn't a question I heard before. And
Nice.
yeah, so I liked being part of it.
So she told you the prompt, right about a moment when you felt cared for, and we'll have Grace read the essay in just a bit, but how did you land on that particular memory?
That's just always been a kind of a strong memory for me because it made a big difference kind of in my life, and yeah, compassion can definitely make you feel like stronger and help you do things you didn't think you could do.
Yeah.
And
well, great. Well, let's the folks who will watch this video, let's go ahead and fill them in on what the heck we're talking about. So Grace, if you don't mind, could you read the essay you wrote?
Mm-hmm. Compassion can come from many places. A person telling you that you dropped your wallet on the street, for example. However, it means the most when compassion comes from someone you love and trust. Empathy, kindness, encouragement, and everything else compassion stands for are vital in any relationship. In 1968, I was born the second oldest of 4 children in small-town New Jersey. As I grew older, I started to struggle with severe depression and anxiety, which I still live with today. In the 80s, mental illness was way more taboo than it is today, so on top of feeling awful all the time, I didn't know how to cope with what I was going through. Eventually, I went to a psychiatrist and then many psychiatrists, all of which did not make me feel any better. In fact, these experiences made me feel worse. After high school, I was too sick to go to college. Instead, I decided to move to New York City. A year or 2 later, my mental illness had not gotten much easier to deal with, and on top of that, I was a single mother. However, now I had direction. I had something to work towards because I had decided to become a doctor. I wanted to be a psychiatrist, to help those who were struggling like me. I had decided to become the person that I needed most when I was young. I threw myself into my studies at community college, then moved to Baltimore to attend Johns Hopkins. I met my husband as an undergrad. He was a teaching aide in my biology class. We stayed together through my college years and then got married while I was in med school. My depression had not faded, but now I had learned new ways to cope with my sickness. Everything was on track until I had to go through residency. Residency is where a med school graduate works at a hospital to gain skills in an actual work environment before they can start working for real. While I was in residency, a woman had an invasive surgery that she didn't need. The radiologist who ordered the surgery said that I had told him to do this, which was absolutely crazy because I was just an intern. My job was to learn and help out with small tasks, not to make important medical decisions for patients. Nonetheless, the entire department believed him and not me. I got in so much trouble that there was a big meeting where all of my superiors talked about what to do about me. Unsurprisingly, nobody at the meeting was on my side. They all voted to kick me out of the department. A meeting with the chief of the Department of Medicine was scheduled. This all would have been very stressful for a healthy person to deal with, but my anxiety made this a very, very difficult time. Finally, the day of the meeting came. I got there early and was trying to hold myself together in the parking lot. Against all odds, I had gotten this far, and it was all about to be taken away. On my way there, I had called my husband, just to get some reassurance. As I was waiting, he pulled into the parking lot. He had driven 2 hours from work to meet me. He told me that I was a good person and that no matter what, everything would be okay. His compassion was the only thing that gave me the strength to go into that meeting. I walked into the office and heard the chief say that he did not think that I should be allowed to stay in the program. However, he continued to say that the psychiatry department had stepped in and that I would be moved to another part of the hospital. The only reason that I could enter that office was because of that moment of compassion and encouragement in the parking lot. Hearing the news was not half as hard as stepping foot inside the building. Reassurance from someone I loved helped me do that. Compassion can come from anywhere, but it means the most if it is from someone you love.
That's beautiful. Well, thank you both for that. So, Heather, first, Grace, is this a story you'd heard before?
No, not at all.
Okay, and so were you surprised at all that you hadn't heard this story before, or no?
A little bit. I mean, I don't know much about your life before I was born, so yeah, it was, I wouldn't say surprising. That does sound something like my dad would do, but I thought it was very interesting.
And Heather, what was it like to share that story with Grace?
I liked sharing it with her. I remember just saying, a few sentences. And so I was really surprised when I read this just about 5 minutes ago, because I really didn't know that she had, written that, really kind of in depth about the whole situation. So it was, it was nice that she listened. And so.
Great. Well, yeah, I think I was certainly really touched by it when I read it, and it stood out for the judges, and I think it'll stand out this coming week when I share it with everyone. So yeah, I just want to thank you both for investing so much in this. When people really listen and absorb what the other person is saying, I think it really comes through on the page. Grace, one question I wanted to ask is, what was it like to write in the voice of your mom, and why did you choose to do it that way? Basically, you pretended to be her.
Well, I do like reading a lot. In all of the stories that I've read, I like the kind of first person, like the first person narrative, because I think it really helps when you're reading to be able to like put yourself inside the story or inside of the mind that you're writing about. And I thought that was really fun when I was writing it as well, to be able to be in the mind of the person I was writing about.
Yeah. Heather, what was that like for you? Was it a little trippy to have Grace talking in your voice?
Yeah, it definitely kind of brought me back to that time, going through that. It was, it was just unusual to hear someone else, talk in my voice. But it definitely sounded like me. So
Great. That makes me wonder. So this was the first time, Grace, this was the first time you heard that story, and Heather, this was something obvious that was important and pivotal for you. So do you think it's possible, this assignment will maybe open up other conversations that, Grace, you might be happy to hear, and Heather, you might share for the first time?
I mean, I think it will, because I think in day to day, we just basically go about what we need to do today. And we don't really, talk about hard episodes we've had in the past and how we got through them. So I think it's good to be reminded of that and share that.
Great. Well, again, thank you both so much. Grace, you did a fantastic job, and but I think only because you had your mom to help you. So congratulations, and you will hear from me again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day.
You too.
You too.
Bye-bye.